Welcome, fellow Rotarians, to the April 2nd meeting. One of the great things about being a member of the Lexington Rotary Club is we have so many experts in so many different fields. And if you ever need information or you ever want to talk to a fellow Rotarian to get advice, professional advice, we're fortunate to have a lot of those people. Particularly, we have several members in the health and wellness area. We've got a number of members that are physicians. We have a chiropractor, we have a podiatrist, we have a physical therapist, and we also have a fitness trainer. And I'm particularly pleased to be at Fitness Plus today with Sheila, a fellow Rotarian. And everyone is concerned about physical fitness, well-being. We've got more time on our hands right now. We're spending time at home. And I can't think of a better thing to do than to try to get in better physical condition. It's great for your mental health. It's a great way to stay healthy. It's a great way to fight boredom. And it's important that with this excess time that we have, that we're also thinking about getting in shape. That may not mean running a marathon. It may not mean lifting weights like Arnold Schwarzenegger, but it just means general fitness. Now, our instructor today, who's going to tell us about staying healthy and general fitness, is Sheila. Sheila has owned Fitness Plus since 1995. She has done a lot of work in the field of 50 and plus. A lot of her training is for 50-year-olds and older, and she's going to have some great practical tips about staying healthy and give you some ideas on how you might improve your lifestyle. And Sheila, why don't you just introduce yourself to your fellow Rotarians and tell us a little bit how you got involved in the world of fitness and your own program.
Well, I think most of you know me as a fitness expert. I've been in Rotary now for several years. What you may not know is I came to Lexington, Kentucky to work on my master's degree in exercise physiology. So that's a little more of a scientific side of exercise, and one of my favorite sayings is that while exercise is not rocket science, it is science. So I take it very seriously. Really understanding how the body works while you're exercising is what the field of exercise physiology is. Just like if you were a thoracic physiologist or a cardiovascular physiologist, you're studying those parts of the body. But exercise physiologists really look at the science of what is happening in the body while we're exercising. So this is an interesting time that we're in. As you said, a lot of people have a lot more time to exercise, but there's a little joke running around in the fitness field that the COVID-19 infection is going to turn into the COVID 15 pounds I put on while I was sitting on the couch watching Netflix. So we really have two things working. We have lots of time and opportunity to do more exercise, but Americans' propensity not to exercise and really sit on the couch. And I think what's important is looking at both the physical aspects of exercise right now and the mental aspects of exercise right now. This is a stressful time for almost everyone right now. Uncertainty breeds anxiety, and we have nothing but uncertainty around us. I would be hard-pressed to find somebody that isn't having some level of anxiety about something. So for mental health, anxiety is it's a beneficial feeling. It tells us to pay attention to something, but when it goes uncontrolled, it can be very unhealthy. High levels of cortisol, increasing blood pressure, driving you to eat and gain weight. Exercise is one of the best things to reduce anxiety. So when I say exercise, I mean, we're in my gym now and there's lots of equipment around and people hear that I'm a trainer and they start thinking about these complicated exercise programs. I'm talking about going out and taking a walk. I'm talking about moderate exercise. Anything that you do to move is going to improve your mental health. It's going to improve your immune system. As you're healthier, your immune system gets stronger. It's going to improve your brain health. There's nothing ever negative about exercise. I studied exercise and chronic disease, and every single chronic disease in our society, exercise is beneficial for. So let's go back to moderate exercise for a little bit. There is a misnomer, especially if you watch television, especially around January 1st. You see lots of commercials about fitness, and what they're marketing and selling is the intensity of exercise. You don't see a commercial where people are not working out very, very vigorously, and that program that they're selling requires vigorous exercise, even if it's a short period of time. So you're sitting on the couch and you're watching somebody exert a tremendous amount of physical energy and you're thinking, I'm not going to do that. And so you turn it off. And so what we have is black and white. I'm either exercising in high intensity and a lot, and I'm a fit person and I'm an exercise person, or I'm nothing. And what I want to tell you is there is a big gray area out there, and you have to find something in the gray area. So there's no excuse not to exercise just because you don't want to be at this end of the spectrum. Nobody wants to be at this end of the spectrum doing nothing. So here's a little science behind it, since I'm a scientist. One of the largest studies about early mortality was done by Dr. Stephen Blair, and the results now are a little old, but they're still valid. This information was released in 2000. Dr. Stephen Blair, who worked with Kenneth Cooper at the Aerobics Institute in Dallas, Texas, studied thousands and thousands of people over a long period of time, trying to find out why people die sooner than they should, early mortality. And they looked at all kinds of different scenarios. They looked at people being overweight, they looked at people being underweight, smoking, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, all of these factors. They put them in a big statistical hopper, and when the evidence came out, the number one cause of early mortality was low levels of fitness. Having low levels of fitness was a bigger cause to early mortality than some diseases that we think of, like, oh my gosh, it's worse than smoking. Well, believe it or not, the data really panned that out. And that was a big shock to the community, man. This was big news. So when you dig into that study a little deeper, they separated people, those that were highly active. So let's talk about runners, marathon runners, triathletes, moderately active people. Maybe they walk around the neighborhood a little bit. Maybe they might take a jog. They do some gardening. And then low level of fitness people that really are kind of couch potatoes and do nothing. So the difference in mortality rates between the couch potatoes and the moderately active people was very significant. You really gained a lot by doing some moderate activity and reducing your chance for early mortality. And then they looked, let's compare the moderate people to the really highly fit people. Because if you're really sweating and working out and doing triathlons and running marathons, surely you're going to live forever. Well, unfortunately, fortunate for most of us, the difference between moderately fit people and highly fit people was statistically insignificant. Again, that was big news in our community. So what that tells me when I talk to people like you to say, you know what? Get in the gray area. Just get off of doing nothing. Don't worry about this up here. Just get off of doing nothing. So talking about just moderate exercise and the importance of moving, if that doesn't get you motivated to say, well, you know, I'm just not going to exercise, Sheila. I'm not going to do it. Thank you for your talk. So I'll talk about something else. If you're not interested in exercise, I would bet that almost everybody listening to this talk is interested about being independent as they age. Not being dependent on other people to take care of you. Most of us have a little bit of a fear of that. I mean, the last thing we want to do is burden our children, burden our spouse. So if you want to keep independence, I will tell you that the one thing that is tied to independence more than anything else is your mobility. Your ability to move and take care of yourself. Your ability to deal with your own groceries and feeding yourself and dressing yourself and what we call ADLs or activities of daily living. If you have a fear of losing your independence, then I'm telling you, you better think about your mobility. And even if you don't do a big exercise program, you need to do some things to work on mobility. So what I'm going to do today, and Peggy's going to be my little guinea pig, is I'm going to show all of you 3 different ways to both work on your mobility, but it's also like a little test of where you are being mobile. Peggy, why don't you step in? We'll keep our safe distance. So one of the first things that I'm going to tell you about mobility, and what tells you a lot about your mobility, is your ability to get down on the floor and get back up. Which just sounds very simple. And we actually have a lot of our clients do it. We have exercises where we're just telling them to get down on the floor and get up, because when you do this, when you actually get down on the floor It's telling me a lot about your body. It's telling me I see some of your core strength, I see some of your balance, your ability to control your body. So the first thing that I would challenge you to do tonight, maybe when you get home, is do this little mobility test. Peggy,
All right.
I would like you to lay down on the floor on your back. Any way you want to get down is fine. Completely lay down, head all the way down, and then I'd like you to get back up. Doesn't matter how you get up, just the ability to get up. I'd like you to lay down on the floor on your stomach, please.
My stomach?
On your stomach. Good.
I think Jamie
All the way down
has-
flat, and then I want you to get back up again. Any way you want. Good control of the body. Good. Now I'd like you to lay down the floor on your right side.
This side.
On your right side. Good. Legs extended all the way out, and then I want you to get back up. And then I want you to lay down on the floor on your left side, please. This is a little exercise, more than you think it is. And then I want you to get back up. Very good. Now this series can get more and more advanced. Oh yeah, we got to keep our distance. That you can actually challenge yourself to put one knee, your right hand on your right knee, get down on the floor and get up. Your left hand on your left knee, one hand behind your head. And if you want to get really difficult, you can try to put both hands on both knees and figure out how to get down on the floor and get all the way up. This is going to challenge your body, but it's going to teach you about how mobile you really are. A lot of us can get down, but if you're with somebody that can't get up, this is going to be really important as you age. Next area of mobility I'm going to talk about is in our shoulder girdle and our chest. Most people in America fight this posture all the time. This is how we drive, this is how we work at our keyboard, and these muscles get tight, our posture gets poor. When we have this posture, not only does it not look good, but you're at a much increased risk for falling because your weight is already throwing you forward. So keeping mobile in your spine and keeping your shoulders open and keeping your head back so you don't have this type of posture is important as you age. And a test for this is all you need is a wall. I'm going to ask Peggy to back up against the wall. And her heels are going to be against the wall. Her tush is going to be against the wall and the very back of her head. And what I want you to notice is she can put the back of her head against the door without raising her chin. If she couldn't get there and if she had to raise her chin, I would rather you not put your head against the wall and keep your chin in neutral. So once you're in this position, I'm going to ask Peggy to raise her hands up, and her knuckles are going to touch the wall. Some of you may not be able to do this if your chest is too tight, and then you're going to slowly slide those knuckles up the wall, and hopefully until they get to full extension, and they would meet over your head. Do you feel that stretch in your chest? Good, and then come down and pull your elbows to your side. Good. So this is, you can step away from there, please. This is number one, a test. How mobile are you? Can you get your knuckles back to the wall? Can you get the back of your head to the back of the wall without your chin going up? That tells you a lot about how tight your chest is and where your posture might be. But this is also a really nice exercise to do once a day to keep working on that. If you can do that, you always want to be able to do that. So the last part of mobility I want to talk about today is actually in your ankle. Many people, as they get older, their feet start to turn out, and instead of walking with this nice heel to toe, they kind of start to waddle and shuffle, and they have very little mobility in their ankle, and they're just kind of walking side to side. This also comes sometimes as we put on weight. Part of that contribution is the big, heavy, clunky shoes we wear, and sometimes we got orthotics piled in there. And between the shoes we wear and orthotics, sometimes we have turned all the muscles in our feet off, and we're just kind of relying on the shoe and the orthotic to do the work. And without really using all the muscles and the tendons and the ankles and the foot just kind of becomes stiff. And you're at a much higher risk for falling. Your mobility is really tapered down. If you become a shuffler, you're much more likely to trip instead of that nice heel-to-toe walking. So working on the mobility of your ankles is very important. It's very simply done, and I'm going to have Peggy lie down on this table here. You're going to raise one leg and go ahead with your hands and hold it and get that, their lower leg is parallel with the table. And then she's just going to start to do ankle circles. Go ahead and turn that foot to the right I would do 10 or 20 of these maybe every morning. But what you're not seeing is her knee isn't moving back and forth. It's not a leg exercise. It's an ankle exercise. And so she's going clockwise right now, and then do some counterclockwise. You want to go in the other direction. Because we're walking mostly in a straight line, but this is a very mobile joint. If you're a runner like I am, I need to do these because I'm always going in a straight line. I have to use my ankles for these other movements. Now let's do point your toe, flex your toe, point your toe, flex your toe. Again, about 20 of these on each foot is a really good exercise to help increase your ankle mobility, which will keep you walking better and lower your incidences of falling and tripping. Thank you. So those 3 mobility tests, and they're also daily mobility exercises that you can do. That should give you an idea maybe where you are if you need to work on your mobility. Again, getting down on the floor and getting up, you need some core strength to do that. You need some leg strength, but you need more core strength, and you need some body control and balance. Getting against the door, you have to have pretty decent alignment. If you can't do that, your posture is really off. If you're a shuffler and you notice and you look down at your feet and you're one of those people where your feet are starting to tote out, you're kind of walking side to side, maybe you need to work on some of your ankle mobility. So those are all things I think that can help everybody sitting in the room today.
Sheila, let me ask you a couple of questions. And when this is over today, Sheila will be on our WebEx meeting, and she's going to be able to answer some questions. So be thinking of questions you would like to ask Sheila. But what about walking as an exercise?
Great.
I know we have a lot of Rotarians that walk because I see them out walking regularly. Do you think that's a good way to...
Walking is one of the easiest and one of the best exercises that you can do. Again, work on your ankle mobility. I mean, we want to walk and we want to stand tall. I mean, any exercise you can do it kind of in a lazy way, but if you're walking, you want to try to have good posture. Walking is a great exercise. People ask me, just because I happen to be a runner, they'll say, well, I just don't think I can ever be a runner. There's no reason to run unless you want to be a runner. There is no, again, think about what I was telling you, moderate exercisers and highly fit exercisers from an early mortality standpoint, there's no difference. Now, we also have to walk, he kicked down. Walking is a great exercise, but it won't get you in shape to win the Bluegrass 10,000. I mean, we have to understand, walking at 3 miles an hour is wonderful for your health, but it's not going to get you ready for the Olympics. So training and exercising are 2 totally different worlds, okay? One thing I want to go back to the coronavirus just for a second. The United States is in danger of losing a lot of people, and they keep talking about underlying conditions, underlying conditions, underlying conditions. Well, one of the biggest problems we have in the United States and why we might have a higher death toll than some other countries per capita has to do with our rate of obesity. I can't remember which particular doctor, but they associated an obese person with the coronavirus as at the same risk of someone who is a smoker. In China, the men over 60 who were heavy smokers had a very, very, very high death rate. You know, in the United States, some of these young people that you see when you see pictures of them, they put them on the news, they're not all, but obesity is a big contributing factor. And so this is not a time to put on weight. Get out and walk, and let's try, as somebody said, hey, this is the time maybe I can get in the best shape of my life because I'm not working and I can't leave that.
What about, what are some techniques or things people need to think about to do in order to avoid injuries or hurting themselves? Any practical advice?
Yeah, practical advice is be practical, stay within yourself. I mean, if you think that it is really going to be dangerous for you to try to get down on the floor and get up, and you need some assistance, then you kind of have to use your common sense there. One of the reasons when I'm asked to speak, I don't do demonstrations of a lot of exercises. People would want me on the news and they'd say, oh, show me this great ab exercise or whatever. I don't like to do that because I don't want to show you something that I think you need really good form to do, and I've given you just enough information to hurt yourself. So I would not read magazines and watch TV and then try to emulate complicated stuff on your own. keep it simple. These 3 things I showed you today are very simple. Going outside, taking a walk is very simple. Leaning against your cushion or your kitchen counter and doing some push-ups is very simple. You know, squatting with no weight is very simple. But if you want to try to do an organized workout and you don't have any experience, then I would not advise it, because you can hurt yourself. Too much, too fast, hurt yourself.
What about a link between mental health and how you feel and how you exercise? Maybe your own personal experience, general.
Well, I call my runs my moving meditation. I mean, for me, it's essential. I mean, I solve all my problems, you know, when I'm out exercising. I don't like to exercise inside. I think, you know, looking at pretty flowers and trees, you know, helps get your mind off of things. The psychology organization, whatever the national organization is for psychologists, I can't remember. I mean, I've read many papers on that. You know, exercise is one of the greatest treatments for anxiety and depression. So I think for everybody, if they haven't felt that benefit themselves, I think it happens pretty quickly. Go for a walk on a nice day, you come back, you feel better.
Sheila, thank you very much. This has been a great source of information. Thank you to all the Rotarians. Hopefully they'll start moving, start exercising to your ability. Now's the time, great time to get in shape. Thank you.